Prince Edward and Sophie attend service at Westminster Abbey to mark 75 years of the NHS. Up to 1,500 health service staff rub shoulders with royalty and politicians at special ceremony to celebrate anniversary. The Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh have been joined by 1,500 health service staff, politicians and supporters at a special ceremony to mark the 75th anniversary of the NHS. Prince Edward and Sophie are paying tribute to staff and patients at the service held at Westminster Abbey in London. Those present will be able to see the NHS's George Cross, which the late Queen awarded to the health service for the work staff did during the COVID-19 pandemic and throughout its history. In one of the last public engagements before her death last year, the Queen bestowed the medal on the NHS at a ceremony at Windsor Castle. Health service leaders from across the 4 nations have attended the ceremony, with nurse May Parsons, who delivered the first COVID-19 vaccine outside of a clinical trial. Ms. Parsons carried the medal into the Abbey in a procession which included Kyle Dean Curtis, 17, St. John Ambulance Cadet of the Year, who wants to work in the NHS, and Enid Richmond, 91, who was one of the first people to work in the NHS, as a member of the junior clerical staff. NHS England boss Amanda Pritchard has delivered an address to the congregation, and Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and leader of the Labour Party Keir Starmer were also among the speakers. There have been prayers and testimonies from high-profile health leaders including Health Secretary Steve Barclay, NHS England's chief nurse Dame Ruth May, NHS England's National Medical Director Professor Sir Stephen Powis and Ellie Orton, Chief Executive of NHS Charities Together. Those who have shown bravery on the front line have been invited, including Richard Webb Stevens, a paramedic who was first on the scene of the Westminster Bridge terror attack, and Dr. Martin English and Dr. Michael Grixaitis, NHS consultants who jointly led a team which brought 21 Ukrainian children with cancer from Poland to the UK in March 2022, following the Russian invasion. Mr. Barclay said, "As we mark this milestone, we can be so proud of everything the NHS has achieved over the last 75 years. From its foundation in the aftermath of the Second World War, to the world's first test tube baby and administering the first COVID vaccine, the NHS is an institution that deserves its title as a national treasure." I want to thank all the staff who have ever worked in the NHS, from the doctors and nurses, caring for our loved ones, to the cleaners and porters keeping our hospitals in order, and our social care workers, paramedics, physiotherapists and many more who do an outstanding job, each and every day. Among those in attendance are Adele Roberts, who paid tribute to the NHS following her bowel cancer surgery. She previously said she feels like she owes the NHS her life. Also at the event was Professor Chris Whitty, Chief Medical Officer, CMO, for England, who became well known at press conferences during the pandemic.